From Godfather 2 to Garfield 2. Let's talk us some cinema, because I've got to use this film degree somehow. The Incredibles. This one is so dear to me. This film is so good that I'm nervous for a sequel 13 years later. How could it possibly match up? How's any animated film after 2005 meant to match up? I mean, you already know, but The Incredibles follows two 1950s superheroes settling down into a nuclear American family. I'm gonna go right ahead and say that this is the most textured and nuanced family film ever made. Bold statement, sure, but one that I will fight you on. Brad Bird directed not only Pixar's best, but also perhaps the most awesome movie ever animated. And that is a big deal. The fact that so many people even care 13 years later is pretty much testament to how impressionable this movie was to a kid. And why did I like this film so much as a kid? I was thinking the other day, this is a kid's film where children are completely secondary. Bob feels incomplete by being removed from his glory days. Stripped of his individuality, this is very much a story about a midlife crisis. Bob feels scorned by society, but the kids have no point of reference. They're simply trying to find themselves in a world that obeys and worships adults. They're vulnerable, they get captured, they get saved. For a lot of the film, they're barely on screen. Brad Bird asks children to identify with Bob Parr, a disillusioned, resentful, middle-aged man. And that's just the thing, that's why I liked it. Kids aren't stupid. This is a family film that follows a man disenfranchised by the very idea of family. Bob can only feel alive in his own memories and achievements from his youth. The only moment he pays attention or feels a slight bit of passion is when he's projecting onto Dash.
I can't believe you don't want to go to your own son's graduation.
It's not a graduation. He is moving from the 4th grade to the 5th grade.
It's a ceremony.
It's psychotic. They keep creating new ways to celebrate mediocrity, but if someone is genuinely exceptional,
This is not about you, Bob.
This reference to an unknown they pits Mr. Incredible as an individual against collective society. Bit deep, but I understood all of this as a kid, and that really just goes to show how powerful and great this movie is. I'm crying! Think this less the usual essay format and more so articulated gushing. I came for the action, and I stayed for the adult deconstruction of a nuclear family and objectivist society. And I did stay for 10 years. This is still my top 5 films ever. And whenever I return to it, no matter what age I am, I find something new to identify it with. People get too hung up on the superhero aspect. This was a 2005 release. The first Incredibles predated the whole superhero surge. So when we say superhero, we mean the 50s golden age of Metropolis, Ubermensch, Caped Cheese. The modern idea of a superhero doesn't even come into it. But what is Pixar talking about when they talk about supers? Cosmo Landerson of Sunday Times says, this is a story of how the egalitarian drive in modern America killed off the superhero. And that's interesting. A selfless, gifted figure doing what they do for the better of society with no reward. The movie spins society as stripping everyone of their individuality. But this film did use the word mediocrity. What is this film's stance on the everyday, normal person? If this is a story about conformity, then that implies that Mr. Incredible was just born better than some people. For this exact reason, The Incredibles has actually picked up a lot of objectivist readings over the last couple of years. People even cited the works of Ayn Rand at the time of release. Objectivism, or rational individualism, is a lovely set of philosophical ethics created by Ayn Rand. Rand's worldview is that some people are just born objectively better than other people. Under the magic wrath of capitalism, the elite can and should write the rules for everybody else.
All the little cogs mesh together.
The heroes of an objectivist society are achievers, people who go out to do great things, build businesses, invent technologies. And this all sounds a little bit familiar, doesn't it? These think piece articles applying horrible ethics to my favourite movie gets under my skin. The idea that society's greatest and brightest are being persecuted is such a beautifully right-wing idea. It's crazy the things you don't see as a kid. The heroes of the film win by embracing their innate biological superiority, strengths they were born with. Meanwhile, look at our cartoonish villains. All powerless, all resentful men using technology and man-made powers. There's a fear of AI, there's a fear of technology. Syndrome represents the perfect Randian ideal. He's a self-made millionaire who built an empire on exploitation for chaotic progress. Except, his goals have nothing to do with excelling. His entire motivation is a twisted spin on kill your heroes. His only goal is to get more powerful out of spite and at the expense of others. He uses his money to undermine the elites and devalue the role of the individual.
Sure, everyone's special, Dash, which is another way of saying no one is.
When everyone's super, no one will be.
That right there is a right-wing nightmare. Syndrome needs his inventions to be able to contend with those with inherited strength. And who beats Syndrome at the end? It's Jack-Jack. Even with all of his man-made powers, Syndrome is defeated by an overcharged baby blessed with power. What's even the point? But, is The Incredibles a Randian movie? I'm just gonna take a wing and say no. What even is a right-wing movie? Red Dawn? The Dark Knight? 300? I always find it funny when a branch of politics tries to claim a movie as their own. Brad Bird isn't an objectivist. He's an avowed centrist. He never intentionally channeled that Randian philosophy, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. Ultimately, although he's going through a rough patch, Bob Parr is selfless. There is a genuine desire to help people. And the fact he can only resolve this via his family kinda conflicts with Mrs. Rand's ideas. The heroes live in existential agony, returning to the superheroics as a reclamation of the familial mojo. Time and time again, Bird tells us that society is no place for individuality, leading to one of my favourite morals that a movie can teach. It's not about you. Mwah. Beautiful. Ayn Rand, go fuck yourself. Thank you, Michael Giacchino, by the way, for the best movie soundtracks ever made. Just shouting you out, but I know you need the exposure. Randian or not, ethical or not, this movie is incredibly impressive. First Pixar movie with an orchestra, first time they had focused on humans, and my god, the hair effects are cutting edge. That wet hair was revolutionary in 2005. Bob and Syndrome have a lot in common. Both harbour a grudge against a society that scorned them. Both fall back into very familiar roles. Bob gets to play superhero again, whilst Buddy plays out a supervillain fantasy of his. The best thing about Syndrome is that he's a character who's never been more relevant. Wow, good job Pixar, you totally predicted the toxic fanboy entitlement that runs the world now. The hateful nerd stereotype might run rampant today, but the vengeful betrayed fanboy is not a new trope. Superheroes have changed a lot over the years. From the gritty, anti-hero, vigilante type mold, to the plasticky, cheap fun and frills of the 1950s that Mr. Incredible and Helen Parr embody. This scene, Syndrome has supposedly just killed Bob's entire family and is trying to get that dramatic, gritty turn from him. No, that's not really your style. Syndrome wants to destroy his childhood icon. Grittier means good, and good means you're weak. There is a type of fan where all the good nature, all the heroics of these stories are completely lost on them. The fanboy destroys the things they love for their own entertainment. And that's why I can't get behind the whole Rand take. This film is too good, it celebrates the colourful wonders of heroism. It's a fun time family flick. The fun, colourful adventures of yesteryear are not childish. Whereas Buddy has just learned all the wrong lessons from his media. A grown man that has taken his childhood resentment into his later years. Even though he's on a superhero genocide, he's still treating these people like action figures.
Elastigirl?
And got busy! Fucking love this film. It's a deranged game of dress up. That is the best villain motivation I've ever seen. What I'm saying is, the amount of complexity in this family film is unparalleled, and maybe we should start giving more credit to family films, because animation is for everyone and children are not idiots.